Hi and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'll take you through a process of me creating a composition of some everyday items and painting them using gouache to make a painting for my studio. So on my studio wall, I'm looking to make a lot of tiny paintings and one of them is my skincare. So this is the frame that I will be using to put the painting inside. The first step is to get all the skincare things out and create a small composition out of it. So I'm going to try and create a vertical and horizontal composition thumbnail on my sketchbook first to understand which goes well. Creating these thumbnail compositions is very important before you start painting on the final piece. This gives you room to make changes, understand what works and what doesn't work for you. When you start making the thumbnails, you can play around with the proportions a little bit. You can decide if you want to move a few objects somewhere, and the angle with which you're viewing it also will make a lot of difference. So it would be better to not skip this step when you paint anything. I definitely like the vertical composition much more, so I'm going to go ahead and create it on the final sheet. I'm going to be using a 300 GSM hot press watercolor paper, and if you don't have something like that, you can use a cold press as well. I'm going to be using gouache as my final medium, which is why I'm preferring hot press. But you could even do this with acrylics, you could do this with crayons, pencils, anything that you feel like. Keeping the thumbnail as reference, I'm starting to draw on my final sheet, and once you start drawing on the final one, you will notice that you may want to adjust some proportions and placements, and that is completely fine because when you're making the thumbnail, you're making it in much smaller size while compared to the final one. So in the final one, you will get a better idea of the composition, and if you notice that something doesn't work, it's alright to erase it, to remove it, to also edit it out of the composition altogether. My idea with this composition is to not go too deep into focal points and other details. I just want to have fun with the items which are over here and just create something which looks aesthetically nice. So what I've done over here is more of like a vertical orientation where I have the items a little smaller on the left hand side, and on the right hand side I have pushed one of my foot creams, which is the yellow bottle tube, on the right hand top corner. So I'm just playing around with the proportions. In this particular piece, I'm not very bothered about any of the rules per se, because I want this to be a very relaxed way of painting. Once the sketch is ready, I'm going to lighten the entire illustration using a kneadable eraser. This way I have a dust-free environment and none of the dust particles are going to stick with my paint. Beside the background color, I'm using the help of a color wheel to understand which color will go well. My foot cream, which is on the right hand side, is in bright yellow color, so I've decided to go for a complementary color, violet, which is right opposite to it, so my tube can pop out. Let's see if this experiment works. The gouache that I'm using today to paint are from Winsor & Newton. Gouache is generally best used directly from the tube. However, I had these squeezed out in this palette a while back to test if the palette is airtight, which clearly it isn't. I didn't want to waste these paints, and since gouache can be reactivated with water, I use these paints in my studio. It's easier to use it in my studio because I can add some water, let it completely kind of solidify or desolidify actually my paints, and then it can mix together and I can get like a nice creamy texture as compared to if I'm traveling somewhere and taking this on the go. I'm speeding up the process so you can see how I go about painting this, starting with the background first, and then I will be creating the individual elements. Watching somebody paint with gouache is very soothing for the eyes, so I hope you enjoy the way that I am painting this and it inspires you to just pick up your paintbrush and get any art supplies that you have and just make something and put it up on your wall today. And with this last bit, my painting is ready. It is time to cut the edges and add this inside the frame. I'm really happy with the background color that I have put. It kind of like subdues the entire thing, and there are a few things that are popping out, and I really like the feel of the entire composition right now. And whenever I see it, it just makes me feel like I should remember to do my skincare every day. I hope you enjoyed this process of me creating my artwork and adding it onto my wall to give it a beautiful look. If you are new over here, do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you can get notified every time I put up a new video. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I will see you soon for the next one. Bye bye.